Hello, my name is Brittany and I'm an admissions representative with Kansas State University Online. I want to start by thanking everyone for joining us tonight to learn more about our online Master of Arts in Teaching program. I'm joined by Dr. Tom Vance, the program director, and he's going to spend roughly the next 30 minutes or so giving us a presentation about this program, and then we'll spend the last 10 to 15 minutes answering questions. Throughout the duration of this presentation, we will be monitoring the chat feature and answering questions as they are being asked. Some of your questions may be saved until the end for Dr. Vance to answer. If you could now please take a few seconds to locate the chat feature and answer the question you'll see on the following slide, as we would love to learn a little bit more about you. I'll give you a moment to do so now. As those chats are coming in, I also wanted to let you know that we will be sharing a recording of this presentation following the webinar. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Vance.
Hey, everybody. I'm just writing in the chat. Look at you, Ann. You're there, Hartford High. Tanya, Mineola. All right. Locate the chat. I just did. Nathan, Topeka, Brittany, Ashley, Savannah, Caleb, Minneapolis, Kansas. Sarah Ann, Olathe, Troy, Lawrence, Nancy, Denver. Wow. Dodge City, Leavenworth, Salina, Stafford, Minnesota, Ricky. Minnesota. Love Minnesota. Hutchinson, Cleveland, Missouri. Hello. Welcome, everyone. And it looks like a good mix of elementary and secondary teachers. We will spend a little time talking about, I will spend a little time talking about the MAT program. And mostly we want to be able to answer your questions. And let me start, before I talk about anything about why you might want to choose K-State, let me just tell you the origins of the MAT program. We used to get calls, the MAT has been around for 5 years, and for 10 years prior to that, we used to get calls from people just like you that said, hey, I'd like to be a teacher. I have an undergraduate degree in social work, or I have an undergraduate degree in accounting, or whatever, and I want to be a teacher. What can you do for me? We'd say, well, your first move is to move to Manhattan, Kansas. Your second move is to spend 3 years getting another undergraduate degree, and then you too can become a teacher and quit your job and all those kinds of things. And it just wasn't a real satisfying answer. And we knew that we were talking to people that were really capable, like all of you, have life experience, have the intellectual tools to be a really good teacher. We force kids into making a decision about what they want to do with the rest of their life when they're 19 years old. And oftentimes we don't know what that is. And then a lot of you have experience in the schools, and you start to imagine yourself being, hey, I think I could do this. And not only do I think I could do this, I think I could make a difference in maybe a kid's life. And so you're an ideal group. And as a group, our MAT students score high on tests. They're hardworking. They're committed. We're just finishing up, last year's cohort. They're getting jobs. It's been this really great experience starting and directing this program. And so we feel really fortunate that we just sort of stumbled into a model that seems to really be effective and seems to really work. Okay, that's my little spiel about how the MAT began. And we realize that you have choices when you pursue a teaching degree. And I'll tell you, probably if you've been to other ones of these at other schools, something that they probably didn't say, I'm not dogging anybody else out, they can do what they want to, but we encourage people to shop around because I don't think that you'll find the same set of combination of variables that we have in the MAT program that makes us so attractive and has made our numbers grow to, we'll probably start you if you joined us, you'll join 250 other students in your cohort from 35, 40 states, from 5 or 6 foreign countries, and so forth. So we intentionally tried to knock down obstacles. We talked to people just like you. We talked to students just like you, and we asked them, really, what do you want out of a program like this? And the key variables that they talked to us about were time, cost, convenience, still being individualized or personalized, and then I just added the last two, but those are the four big variables that students really wanted to see. And so the MAT program, both at the elementary and secondary levels, is actually, it's not 12 months, it's 11 months. You would begin this year, May 17th, and you would end like our students are done now, the last cohort. And so, but you're done by the middle of April. And so that's one big thing. The other thing is that most of our students continue to work uh, tell student teaching. And student teaching is from January until, again, about the first week in April. And you can't really work while you're student teaching. Student teaching is a full-time job. But until then, most people do. There is a field experience, by the way, in the fall. It's 64 hours, and we just work with you and work within your schedule to find 64 hours. Maybe you do Tuesday and Wednesday mornings for 8 weeks or something like that, but we work with you. We understand that you're adult learners, and you have lots of responsibilities. You can do this exact same program at other schools, and you'll pay a lot more than what you do at K-State. We're a land grant institution. We're not a for-profit institution. And even though we're not subsidized heavily by the state any longer, we still try to keep tuition affordable. That price tag that you see on the screen is the same for both in-state students and out-of-state students. And if you compare us to, for example, USC has an MAT program, and I'm not dogging USC out. It's a great school, and I'm sure they have a fine MAT program, but theirs costs $54,000, and ours is 15 this year, 15,360. And there'll be something close to that for next year as well. Our courses are all asynchronous. Everything's online. So that makes them flexible and convenient. So you do have due dates, but you work on those projects and so forth when you have time to do that. And everyone doesn't have to log in, for example, at 7 o'clock or something like that. Even though we'll have 250 people in the program, you'll be assigned a veteran mentor teacher that will be with you from the beginning of the program until the end. And we cap the number of students that they're assigned to 10. So you'll get to know your mentor. Your mentor will grade all of your work. They'll coach you up. They'll watch videos of your teaching. They'll be a cheerleader for you. They'll also kind of be a critical friend for you, that kind of thing. And it's really worked out exceedingly well. All of our courses, though, are taught by, tenured or tenure track faculty members. I teach one of the courses. I direct the program, but I'm also a teacher in the program. I teach curriculum instruction and assessment in the program. And all of our classes are organized and led, and all the projects and rubrics and everything, that discussion boards and everything that you'll be doing come from that tenured or tenure track faculty member. Every year we tighten this program up. This will be our 6th year, and we make little tweaks and changes, just like all teachers do, right? Every teacher, year after year is constantly, they never rest on their laurels. They never, Doesn't mean that they completely revamp everything, but they certainly redo things every year. They're not satisfied. Yeah, I'm never satisfied as a teacher. I'm always trying to get better, even though I've been teaching for 30 years now. But when we talk about quality, oftentimes we think of the like Harvard and Yale and Princeton and so forth, and those are all quality schools. But when we think about quality, what are we really thinking about? What makes Harvard Harvard or Yale Yale or Cal Berkeley? What really makes them isn't how big their library is or how awesome their faculty are. Those things are important. But what really separates them from other places is the quality of the students that they have, right? That they attract. And we have this incredibly diverse, talented, committed group of students in the MAT program. And consequently, when you write something in a discussion post, you're going to have 250 other bright, eager, adult, experienced people reading what you post and commenting on it. And so, not all 250 people comment on all other 250 people. I don't mean to give you that impression, but you get what I mean. And so, we do say that our program's high quality. Yes, we do have high quality faculty and all the resources of a Research One school and all that stuff, but we also have this great student body. And our program, by the way, just was rated number 10 in the United States of America, which is pretty good for a little school out on the plains. So that's why K-State. Again, shop around if you want, but I don't think that you'll probably find that set of variables that I know are important to lots of people. So what's the curriculum like? Well, you'll see the curriculum on the board. In essence, those first three classes are just establishing some foundational ideas that you'll eventually use in the fall and the spring and hopefully throughout your career. Ideas about the history and philosophy of education, about society, about education as an institution and its role in our society, about the purposes of education, about your purposes as a second grade teacher or a teacher of calculus or whatever it is that you're planning on teaching. You also learn some things in the summer just about the nuts and bolts of what it means to be a teacher, how to write a lesson plan, how to ask a terribly interesting question. What does it mean to cause kids to think at different levels? What kind of levels of thinking are there anyway? How is it that you can make something really meaningful and engaging to a 5-year-old? Those kinds of things. You think about what we're charged with as teachers, and sometimes in the society, teachers aren't really given the sort of, I don't know, social credence or credibility or acceptance that lots of other occupations are. And that's just so terribly wrong. I mean, think about what we do as teachers. Think about that just think about a kindergarten teacher, right? I mean, my wife was a teacher's aide at a K through 2 school. And she said, Tom, those kids would show up on the first day of class with their parents, and sometimes the kids would be crying, the parents would be crying, and some of them knew their ABCs and one, two, threes, and so forth. Many of them did not. They certainly didn't know how to line up for recess or go to lunch, keeping their hands to themselves, or how to blow their nose or whatever. And yet, in the space of 9 months, because they hung out with a professional, because they hung out with somebody that really knows about teaching and about kids and about learning and about motivation, about using great examples and about turning kids on and about exciting curiosity, because of all that, by the end of 9 months, Not only do they know how to blow their nose, line up for recess, go to lunch, and keep their hands to themselves, most of them know how to read. Now, think about that just for a second. 5 year olds that, you know, somehow you're supposed to teach them. Yeah, we'll see kids, there are these 26 symbols, and these symbols make different sounds. When you put them together, they make even different sounds. And when you put them all together, sometimes they make words. And then we separate. Think about how complex of activity reading is, and yet, we should be singing the praises of every teacher that really, along our own personal pathway, taught us either the mechanics of reading or a love of reading. I'm not even a reading teacher, but reading's just so fundamental to who we are, and an important skill, and so forth. So summer session is about all of those kinds of things, about kids, about society, of nuts and bolts of teaching. Then in the fall, you take all that general stuff and you begin to apply it specifically to the teaching of science or math or social studies or reading or literacy. And you also get to practice some of those ideas. It's not just 64 hours of observation where you sit in the side of the room. No, this is a master's degree, a master's program. So you're in the classroom, you're doing things, you're going to teach lessons, you're going to work with small groups of students, you're going to make mistakes, every teacher does, and you're going to learn from them, and you're going to grow, and you're going to get better and better. Then there's a winter intersession class, that's also a methods class, but it's also really a transition to student teaching and getting you ready for student teaching. By the way, you do the same. You stay in that same classroom with the same cooperating teacher that you choose. By the way, you get to choose what school, and as long as they say yes, and the school district says yes, we give people their first choice like 95% of the time. You stay in that same school all the way through student teaching. And so by the time you begin student teaching in the spring, this 801 internship in the schools, you know all the kids' names, you know your cooperating teacher really well, and you're ready to you're ready to roll. And also in the spring, you do an action research class that's sort of integrated into the student teaching experience. And the capstone of the whole program is your master's project, which actually you'll be a part of from the very beginning of the semester. You'll know what's expected of you from the very beginning of the program, I should say. You'll know exactly what's expected of you in that master's project. Secondary folks, it's the same thing, only instead of taking all those different methods classes that elementary teachers have to, you're going to stick to your field, whether that's social studies or English language arts or mathematics or Spanish or Russian or whatever, agriculture or whatever your secondary content area is. Other than that, it's the same set of ideas, only focused on one content area and focused on kids at a higher level. But I got to be honest with you, there is, there are a few principles that apply no matter whether you're teaching 5 year olds or graduate students. Clarity is important no matter what level it is that you're teaching. It's just that how you provide clear instruction differs for 5 year olds than it does for graduate students. But really, all teachers rely on the same set of principles. We know a lot about teaching and learning, and we really, at its core, we rely on the same set of principles and have for a long time. We've known what those are for a long time. We fiddle around the edges with education reform and so forth, which is all to the good, but really at its core, we know what constitutes good teaching and learning. Admissions requirements, the grad school application fee is $65, but we'll pay for that since you came to this. And so Brittany or Diane, I thank you both, by the way. I don't think I did that earlier, for organizing this tonight. And they'll send you a application fee waiver, so you don't have to spend the $65. Your undergrad, you need an undergraduate degree, and your GPA needs to be somewhere near 3.0. And if it's a little below that and the rest of your application looks okay, then you're going to be all right. If it's below 2.65, it doesn't mean that you're completely out of luck, but you should reach out to me personally, and I'll put my email in the chat here at some point, or you can reach out to Brittany or Diana and they can get it to you. Or maybe Brittany and Diane could put it in the chat now, but email me and we can talk about ways that what you can do in your specific situation. Secondary folks, you need to take and pass the praxis test in your content area, and so and I know modern languages doesn't have a lot of dates. I know agriculture doesn't have a lot of dates. And so if you find that you don't have a date that you can take a praxis before classes begin on May 17th, reach out to me. I'll hook you up with the secondary coordinator and we'll see if there's something that they can do, but ultimately that's their call. You respond to 3 interview questions and record your answers. Don't let that freak you out. Um, it's, they're fairly innocuous questions. Why do you want to be a teacher? What do you think you can add to the lives of students? That kind of thing. And just, 45-second responses are just fine. And, more than anything, we like to put a face with a name. You need 3 letters of recommendation. You don't have to seek those and get them yourselves. You just give us the names and email addresses of 3 people, then we contact them and they fill out a little rubric on you, and there's a place where they can either upload a letter or write a little stuff, something in a dialogue box. And what you should do is just contact 3 people, tell them what you're up to, and to be expecting an email from K-State asking for letter of recommendation. If you are a non-US citizen, and there are exceptions to this rule, but on its face, we would need an English language proficiency test. But there are all kinds of exceptions to that rule if you've been here for so long, or you're from another country that speaks English, or there's a whole bunch. So if that's a question for you, you can reach out to one of us and we'll answer it. The application deadline is May 5th. Funding, all teacher education students are eligible for student loan forgiveness. That could even get better under the current administration. They're talking about making it better, but right now it is $3,500 a year, up to 5 years, that you teach in a Title I school. Title I schools are very common. Most schools in Kansas, for example, are Title I schools. It means that you have a certain percentage of free and reduced lunch kids in your school. I live in Wamego, Kansas, kind of typical small town of 5,000 people, and all of our schools are Title I schools. So really most schools are Title I schools. We do have global campus scholarships. Those are $1,000 a semester. So the MAT, you'd be eligible for 3 of those. And those are on a need basis. So I would say 40% of the MAT students that applied for one last year got one. And so it's not impossible, but you have to fill out the FAFSA to be eligible. And you should fill out both the 2020 sorry about the typo there, 2021 and 21-22. 2021 is for the summer, and 21-22 is for next year. Just fill them both out. And then there might be some programs specific to your state, or if we have people on the call from other countries. Kansas folks, I don't care if you go to K-State or where you go, all elementary people should apply now, tonight for the well, I don't know if you can before you're admitted or not, but apply for the Kansas Teacher Service Scholarship. It's not need-based. It is incentive to get people to teach. So, and you got to teach for at least 1 year in Kansas. Elementary teachers, you just have to agree to teach for 1 year in Kansas. Secondary teachers, you too can do the Kansas Teacher Service Scholarship. English language arts, like elementary teachers, you can teach anywhere in Kansas because English language arts is a high need area. The rest of you secondary teachers, like social studies teachers or mathematics teachers or English or agriculture teachers or any of the other ones, you have to agree to teach in Kansas in a high needs area. So KCK, Topeka, Wichita, or the western 1/3 of Kansas. So my daughter did this. She's a social studies teacher. And so she's teaching in KCK and loves it. Talked to her today, in fact. And she loves it there. She was hired mid-year last year. She's just finishing her first year and a half there and loves it. So everybody should do that. Everybody should do that. So, can you continue working? I already kind of talked about field experiences. You're with a cooperating teacher, you're in the same room, you'll video record, either off of your a tablet, your phone if it's new enough, or the software we provide for you, by the way, it's called Go React. We give it to you. We buy some big license and just give it to all the students. And so that's free. And most of you could do it, record it off your phone, and even if you don't have a phone that would do it, you can always go get an iPad at most schools now and set up the iPad and upload video. And then, your mentor teacher will evaluate those teaching performances, provide you with some ideas about things that you're doing really well or things that you could be working on. At the end of this, you get a Kansas teaching license. You're recommended for a Kansas teaching license. No university grants licenses. We recommend people for licenses. The actual license is always granted by the Kansas State Department of Education or any other state department of education around the country. And sometimes people think, well, what do you mean recommend? So there's the catch. This all sounds too good to be true, and now you're just no, it's not. We recommend our undergraduates for their teaching license too. We just That's not our universities aren't in the business of giving teachers licenses. No matter where you went to school, a state department of education would be giving you your license. If you get an elementary K-6 license, you can test into virtually any other secondary subject, with the exception of special education. But and there may be one other one that I can't think of off the top of my head, but basically you can just test into, once you have a K-6 license, you can test into any secondary subject, but it doesn't work the other way. You can't get secondary and test down to elementary. You can't do that. If you want to teach in another state, awesome. We have, I'd say 40% of our students are from other states. And this is important. This is an important distinction. You're not going to Kansas State University fulfilling the requirements of Illinois or Michigan or California. You're going to Kansas State University fulfilling the requirements for a Kansas teaching license. Once you have that ticket, once you have the certificate, teaching license from the state of Kansas, then it becomes much easier to transfer that to any other state. Now, you might have to take a test in Louisiana history, or, fill out some paperwork and that kind of thing. But every state allows you the opportunity, some time to get all that stuff taken care of, and you can continue to teach and be hired as a teacher while you do that. So it's worked out really swell. And we've just not run into any terrible problems with that. We have a crack licensing specialist too, named Di Murphy. And if you have questions about that, just let me know. I've gone on too long. I'm sorry about that. We are recording this. If you'd like to obtain a copy of the recording, just reach out to Brittany or Diane, and they would be happy to give it to you. And now I think we'll open it up for questions. Right away, Sarah Buckholz goes right into books. Sarah, you know what? I should have mentioned books. Most of the classes, like 702, my class, they're all ebooks. So you don't, they're all free, and I provide them to you. I created them. Most of you didn't go to school as long ago as I did, but when I was in school at the University of Nebraska, yes, go Big Red, um, that professors sometimes had these course packets, that were like photocopies of these journal articles and stuff, and they put them all together, and they were about that thick. In essence, ebooks these days are like that on steroids, where you can, you know, in essence, I didn't write the book. I'm just a curator of resources, right? So I pulled the best resources, videos and ideas, and the latest thinking about teaching and kids and motivation and using examples and yada, 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 and dump it into the book. So most courses have ebooks like mine. There are a couple that where you still have to buy books, but it's fairly minimal. Sydney, troops to teachers. Yes. Actually wear another hat. I'm the Kansas State Troops to Teachers program coordinator. And Troops to Teachers, unfortunately, Sydney, is being sunsetted. They're not, we lost all of our funding. So, but we'll continue to provide, all of the veterans that come to K-State with resources, any resources that we have that are special to to you and your program. I have a question about MAT and the Career to Teacher program at Fort Hays. I don't really know the Career to Teacher program at Fort Hays, Stacy. Um, I've heard good things about it, um, and but I don't know it well enough to be able to distinguish between those two, between our program and that program. But I'm sure it's, we all get paid out of the same pot of money. People don't realize that, but all the regent schools, we're all public state, the Kansas Board of Regents, or so we have good colleagues at Fort Hays and Emporia State and Wichita State and all over the place. Uh, are there any other classes required rather than what's listed? For example, if our bachelor's degree didn't require some, would we Brittany, we did away with that, but no, you don't have to take anything else. That's it. No, you don't. And we are using your passing praxis score, your undergraduate degree and grades as a basis for saying that you have the academic qualifications to become a teacher. Course load, it is accelerated, Sarianne. People say, well, geez, how hard is it? Well, that's a difficult question to answer. Really dependent upon the students. It's kind of dependent upon how much experience. More than half of our students have experiences out in the schools, so they kind of already know the lingo, and they've talked to teachers before, and they kind of know what kids are talking about, and that kind of thing. I think it's generally a little easier for those people. Uh, so um, it kind of depends. Some people can write a 2.5 page position paper, and it comes to them relatively easy, or a lesson plan. And it just depends on the person. Is there a difference in license type from the no, the light Jack Conklin, the license is exactly the same. Now you will get paid more because you're not you have a master's degree. And so teachers get paid in terms of their education level and years of experience. So you would make a little bit more money, but the license is exactly the same. Um, Troy, you want to teach middle school? If there are several for middle, am I required to take the high school level test? Um, yeah, you are. I'm pretty sure. Brittany or Diane, I teach, I most, even though I was a high school teacher myself years ago, I teach mostly in the elementary program. Brittany or Diane, do you know for sure on that?
Is the question of if the
What practice?
person would,
I think all secondary people in Kansas don't they have to just take the high
it,
school level praxis?
it's the same tests for middle school and high school that would license them for either like 7 through 12 or 6 through 12.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Troy, I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, but I think that's right. Can you transfer things in, Ricky? No. One of the things about having this, accelerated program was we agreed that we would not take any transfer credit, and so we don't. Lynn, I noticed you got on late, and yes, we for sure will. Brittany, we'll send the recording out for everyone. We for sure will. Uh, Nancy, student teaching. Good question. Student teaching is a full-time job, and I just don't I just don't know how you would work and be a student teacher at the same time. You come in, you work the same hours that the teacher does. If the teacher's there at 7:30 in the morning, you're there at 7:30 in the morning. If the teacher stays until 4:15, you stay until 4:15. You don't secure the relationship we do. You can choose your schools. So you'll fill out something called a star form. You'll say, this is my first choice school, this is my second choice school, my third choice school. And again, about 95% of the time, we're able to give you your first choice school. And then we do all the arrangements, and we communicate with you and your cooperating teacher, and tell them, tell you where to show up and what you're doing, and all of that stuff. The praxis usually takes 2 weeks to sign up. Can you start if you don't have time to take the praxis? That is a content area by content area decision, Carrie. So if you emailed me, and I would email me the specifics. I'm really interested in the MAT, and the praxis is not offered until I don't know, whatever, May 15th. I won't get my results back until May 21st. Is there any way that I could begin the program on a provisional basis? And you can. What do first year teachers make in Kansas, both elementary and secondary? Usually it's the same in most districts for elementary and secondary. And again, it's based on years of experience. And you should, Sarah, you should go online and just look up, just type in teacher salary schedule, and then whatever county or school you would like to teach in, put that in there, and it's public, a matter of public record. So, for example, my daughter in KCK, just out of school, just an undergraduate degree, a really good kid and good teacher. I'm a little biased, but she's a really good kid, and she makes 41,000 in KCK, or 42, something like that. And if you look that up online, you'll see that that's right. Now that's what her base salary is. But then teachers always, like, she gets extra for doing different things, right? Like, she has more kids in her class than what her teachers union will allow, so they have to pay her extra for having more kids in the class. And if you coach something, you get paid extra. I was fishing club sponsor. Yes, I was fishing club sponsor. We had a couple hundred kids in fishing club, believe it or not. And we would take kids fishing that had never been fishing before, high school kids. And I think I made like $200 a year for being fishing club sponsor. And I was fantasy football league commissioner at my high school, and that was worth a couple $100, and that kind of thing. Elementary teachers, Brittany, good question, but there's no praxis for admission. You do take an elementary content praxis during student teaching, and curriculum instruction and assessment praxis during student teaching. And our pass rates on those, by the way, are 97.5%. So really high. Okay, my friends. Geez, here we are, 35 people. That's awesome. 35 people interested in teaching here on a Thursday night, listening to a middle-aged, slightly overweight professor from Kansas State. Any other questions? Is there a cap on applicants accepted? No, we can take as many as we want. Do we take? No. Well, if there are no other questions, I will turn things over to Brittany to wrap things up. Dear friends, I really hope that I see your application coming through the transom soon. If you need anything, I direct the program, and you have my email. You can just contact me directly. I'll even put my phone number in there, and you can call me. Probably not tonight because I'm at my sister's house and we're doing a little family gathering. But other than tonight, you can call me during the evenings or on the weekends or whatever, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Miss Burgess.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Vance, for that wonderful presentation, and thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. If you are ready to apply, please visit our website at online.ksu.edu and select how to apply for detailed instructions. As a reminder, everyone who is registered for this webinar will be receiving a recording via email as soon as it's available. Also, feel free to reach out to us at online@ksu.edu to request an application fee waiver, since all attendees tonight are eligible for that application fee waiver. And then also, if you had any questions that we weren't able to answer, feel free to email myself or Diane at online@ksu.edu or reach out to Dr. Vance and we'll be happy to help you out.
Okay, everybody. I usually say from Wamego, Kansas, but I'm not in Wamego, Kansas tonight. Another nice thing about doing online programs, by the way, you can move around. You're a little flex. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska tonight at my sister's house. So from Lincoln, Nebraska, Tom Vance saying, see you later, and I hope to see your applications soon.